we're taking a much shorter trip. We're going 30 minutes west of downtown San Antonio to Castroville. This is an area that in the last 10 years has exploded in growth. And so leaders here have a challenge on their hands. What they want to do is manage that growth while also preserving the heritage of this area. And when you drive around, you see a clear French and German influence when it comes to their architecture. Right now, we're on our way to a gas station that's been turned into a cafe, and I'm told that this is something of a neighborhood hangout.
I've been coming to this place since I was in high school. It's gone under different names and different owners, but I'm fortunate now to be the owner of it.
And why the Magnolia filling station? Why do you call it that?
Well, it used to be a Magnolia gas station back in the day. We still have the original sign up in the front of the building or let people know where we are. We still have the original gas pumps and a lot of the old memorabilia.
It doesn't seem like it's just a coffee shop.
Yeah, it's a place people can come hang out. We have regular customers that come all the time, and sometimes I joke they market better than I do for myself. We get a lot of support from the community, a lot of love from our customers. I couldn't be more fortunate. As someone who really loves old Castroville for what it used to be, I understand that the urban sprawl isn't the greatest thing for the community, but as a business owner, I understand that urban sprawl is probably gonna be pretty good for business. The more houses are around, the more people are gonna want to come and get coffee in the morning. So few mixed feelings, but at the end of the day, I kind of have to welcome it. There's not much I can do. I can't stand in front of it.
Has it been difficult to run a business in the last few years? Inflation, a lot of things are getting more expensive. Climate change, that's making coffee prices go up.
Of course,
so
yes, ma'am.
How has that affected you as a business owner?
It's scary, of course, but I tell myself that stuff's going to be scary all the time. If it's not one thing, it's going to be another. You just have to adapt.
And how do you adapt as a business owner?
It's all repetition and growth. One thing hits you hard, you just have to pick yourself up and collect yourself and hope you're ready for it the next time it happens. Things break, things don't get ordered, stuff happens all the time. You just have to be ready for it. It's a big learning curve. COVID had big impacts on getting coffee, cost of goods sold, especially stuff our disposable products, paper products, stuff like that. Very hard to get, and the costs go way up. Order that would cost $1,000 2 years ago cost $1,300 now. Things get more expensive. My groceries have gotten more expensive. If I could afford to pay myself more, I would, but I truly I really have to keep a tight budget nowadays.
Over the last 5 years, it's been kind of explosive growth here. You can see that when you're coming in from San Antonio, all the growth on the east side, and then when you're driving from San Antonio, you can see the change in the traffic patterns on Highway 90. How Highway 90 is now almost being built 281 out in the Stone Oak area used to be, with all those turnarounds. It's only a matter of time before we expand even more from that, because that combined with the ever-increasing demands on our infrastructure, the water resources that we all deal with. Castroville itself, the original horseshoe train of the city of Castroville, was established in 1844 with large lots, 1/3 acre lots, and a lot of the lots in residential areas are still like that. Well, there's some push to try to make them smaller and try to accommodate more housing, and there's some pushback from some of the people that have lived in the areas with that. The city itself is on the National Historic Register. So in some respects, the outlying areas, the new development, let's build those with more dense development, but let's protect the historical character of the city at the same time. The infrastructure, you talk about the water. We're no different than Saws or New Braunfels or others. We're all looking for the same water rights to support these growth. So that's sometimes a challenge. You look at the farming community we have, a lot of folks will look and say, as generations change, they don't have the emotional tie to the land, so they sell the land to developers, which there again takes land out of tillable land. So there's water rights changing around, and you add not only the residential, but you add the commercial development. Medina County is a primary, happens to be right now for data center development. A data center uses a lot more water. So there's a big issue on that right now. And where are we going to get all of this moving in the future? So it's all part of the growing pains that we're all experiencing.
What's pushing you to vote in the ballot box? What are the main things?
Well, I'm going to touch base on the primary ones right up front. We're going to talk the economy. We're going to talk about immigration and inflation, things like that. Let me talk about immigration really quick. We're a nation of immigrants. That's great. But there's a process in coming in. It's very common here with Highway 90 being a direct link to Del Rio. It's not uncommon to see high-speed chases through here, or people pull alongside the road with people that maybe are not here legally. The railroad's 7 miles to the south of us. It's a major pipeline in and out of San Antonio. So it hits this area pretty good. We've been inundated like everyone else, but the school system, the housing areas, the things like that, what is out there. So that's a big issue to get under control. There's a way to do it. And just, let's get back to the way we should be doing it. I'm not saying we shouldn't allow immigration. I'm saying we should be able to manage it better. I feel pretty blessed in the fact that I have a good job. I have a retirement from the city of Castroville that supplements that. My children are both educated and gone in their careers. So, but yet you still see it when you go to HEB and the groceries that you used to get for $150 and now you're looking at $250 or whatever, and you're saying, what happened? What happened? So it hits us all. And then the ever increasing cost of the utilities, okay? Because the city of Castroville for years is wholesale. They own their own electric system, but they buy power from CPS. So there's fuel adjustment charges that fluctuate the bill that cost, because it costs money to generate the power. It costs money to transport it to you. So, and we feel the brunt on that too. The water is the water, you know. The cost of treating wastewater. Castroville owns all its own utilities. So we feel it all. I'm going to vote for President Trump, for former President Trump, because I honestly, when the question comes up, do you feel like you're better off now than you were 3 years ago? No, I feel like some of the policies in the last few years have driven some of the rising costs and the inflation in the economy. And a lot of the things I think we need to change.
I have a really strong faith and moral values that don't necessarily match up with a lot of what's going on, especially located here, and having a son who is in middle school, having just gotten out of education myself. I think both immigration, because of our location, is extremely important, and you know, to touch on school safety, we're so close to where something terrible just happened. So obviously that is motivation for me to vote. I prefer to not share too much, but I can tell you that I have a very heavy opinion and belief that things need to change. Medina Valley has, the school where I was, the school in Hondo, and it's just across the board, have really come down hard in terms of security. Like everything's gated, the kids are protected. It's not, I can say it's not any easier, like it's not easy for parents to just like go up to school anymore and say, hey, I brought little Johnny lunch, or knock on the door and say, or not even knock on the door, just walk in, just walk in and be ready to, or like have to check their kids out. Now it's, you have to show ID, you have to show, proof of who you are. In some cases you have to make an appointment.
Do you agree with that?
I do, because I would rather, as a parent and as a former educator, I would rather things be a little, I don't want to call it difficult, but there be more steps to take, because the bottom line is if you're a parent that cares and that understands what policies are, you're going to take those extra steps to make sure that not just your child, but every child is protected.
Okay.
So I 100% agree with that. I like to be grateful for where I am, and I don't want to be controlled by fear and the worry of what if. I like to live a life of gratitude and being mindful of the things the decisions I make, my interactions with people, because I think that matters. And I think that could change a lot for people in general, outside of ticking and politicking, like just being a good person.
My business is a happy business, so I'm not here as a commodity. I'm here as a want. So people want what I have. It's not, I don't have to go to the grocery store and buy eggs, but if I want to go to the plant store and get a pretty plant, I can go to the plant store and get a pretty plant. So that's the difference in my type of business, say, than something you have to have.
But I guess people wonder whether that's sustainable, right?
A plant shop? Mm-hmm. Yes, they do wonder that. I often wonder that myself. So, but it is fun. It's a hobby. Most people that are in the plant business started it during COVID, because I don't know why, but plants exploded during COVID. Exploded.
It's one of the businesses that did well. Maybe because more people were spending time at home. How do you feel about the upcoming election?
So for me, as an older person, I do definitely think people need to vote. I have voted. I don't speak politically. I'm not outspoken about political things. I think it's probably the worst time in our political history in the United States, it seems like. The rhetoric is so negative. It's hard to know what's the best thing, who's the best person, because the rhetoric is really, really strong. My biggest issue, I think, as Bruce said, is immigration and retirement. I'm a semi-retired person, and that is how I opened my business, but it's a big topic now, and as people are getting older, I don't see it as much here in Castroville as I did in other places I've lived where people were scared to retire. They weren't going to have enough money to make it through the years, and that's pretty scary. Even for me, I feel like I'm okay, but I might not be if there was some big catastrophe in my life. I might run out of money, and then what? And then who? And who do you have to depend on when that happens?
There's just an uneasiness of there's not certainty of what either one party and or candidate is truly offering. The more I talk to people in the community, they're kind of hesitant and waiting to see what decisions they make based on the outcome. And that's been weird to me to see.
Waiting to buy a home, or
waiting to know even what to do with their business, even what to do with the potential of the impact that it'll have on their business and the decisions that they'll be able to make, how it'll affect the type of work that they do. That's been a new process for me of it's not just politically driven. It's how is this going to affect our livelihood, our industry, based on who takes office. There's, for me, being from another country and also being from here, being for both Mexico and the U.S., I see kind of both sides of what one party and or one candidate has
on border patrol, on immigration laws.
Do you know who you're going to vote for?
I haven't made 100% my decision, but I'm leaning absolutely towards one candidate. I don't want to necessarily say who, but I'm very confident that the only way for any country and anybody that is trying to make a difference in their country is by actually being active in the voting process, right? So whether people are open about it or reserved and have that private right to make their own private decision, to withhold a vote and to stay away from it, I feel does more damage than good. Because then we truly don't know where people stand, and we really don't know what people really want. I see good things in both sides, and until the last 3 years, I haven't really gotten involved. And I was that guy that used to not care, not even pay attention, not even care to go and vote. Yeah, I am planning on voting. I'm also planning on getting more and more educated, so I make an informed decision, as opposed to just a, like a whim or just, well, because we've always thought this way, or my family's always been, or this is how I was raised, to just have a little bit more of an independent mind. Because I was raised, from a very conservative point of view, and then I lived in California, which is very different than Texas, but yet both sides have valuable things that they offer. And then now living in much more of a closer small town proximity, I'm like 10, 15 minutes from here, from Castroville. I visit here often. Like, I also see the value of keeping things the way that they are, because it's worked, I think the biggest thing as humans is just understand each other. Not everything has to be so black and white. Not everything has to be so judgmental. Like, if we can actually get to know each other and where we're coming from and have empathy towards one another, as well as an understanding of like, oh, maybe my perspective has been a certain way, maybe I've been raised a certain way, maybe I've been used to certain things. But now if I get outside of that and look from a new perspective, a new paradigm, then I'm actually able to maybe understand why you think that way. And not that everything is right and wrong, good and bad, but that there can be a lot of things that we can actually come together in commonality and unity.
So, there you have it. A plea from someone who has really lived all over the country, begging us to work together, to see our common humanity and work together despite our differences. That's been the whole point of Your Voice South Texas. To all of you who have participated, thank you so much for that. I'm Stefania Jimenez, KSAT 12 News.